Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Nneka Otuonye, and I am a current undergraduate student at Georgia State University. I am excited to share with you this slide detailing a presentation on how amplifying diverse voices in STEM can create a student-led open educational resource initiative for inclusive success. Today, we will be exploring how to make STEM education more inclusive, equitable, and effective for all students by addressing key challenges and opportunities in open education and student success. Without further ado, let us begin our presentation. First, we need to acknowledge a critical challenge present within education: the STEM diversity gap. Despite progress, STEM fields struggle with underrepresentation. Existing open educational resources are often created from a narrow point of view. It is noted by UNESCO that about 90% of online open educational resources are created in Europe or North America, basically within the Western Hemisphere. And with this, these hemispheres are predominantly saturated with English. Given how English is the main language spoken here, it can provide students to feel underrepresented, whether that is through students not seeing themselves in terms of someone who looks like them, or not seeing their language. This can cause students to have a harder time to connect as they're unable to reflect themselves within educational resources. Not only does this impact student engagement and retention, but it also impacts the success of our students. And in Figure 1, this details how the gap of diversity has been affecting the STEM workforce, as exhibited by the low percentages of Black and Hispanic individuals being represented within STEM fields. That is why I am passionate about a solution, the solution in which we utilize student-led open educational resource initiatives. By empowering students to create open educational resources, we can directly address the diversity gap. We can focus on amplifying the voices of students and their experiences, which will enable and ensure resources are relevant, relatable, and culturally responsive. We want to change how STEM content is created and presented, and I believe that by tackling the need for context-appropriate content and making STEM education more attainable, we can become more closer to this goal and make this goal a reality. And this image in Figure 2 showcases the diverse avenues that we can take when it comes to utilizing open educational resources. So, you may be curious, how will this work? Well, we can make this work by developing a model that is scalable throughout different objectives. By creating an inclusive STEM ecosystem, we can therefore make open educational resources more attainable to all. And the proposed objectives we have are perhaps through first, creating collaborative virtual workshops. Through these workshops, students, faculty, and open educational resource experts can come together to co-create content using tools such as WebEx or Zoom, or even more specific tools like Figma or Miro. And by offering this as virtual, this will allow for more people to be involved, as not everyone is able to come to in-person activities. Next, we can create student-led podcast series where underrepresented STEM students can share their experiences within their fields. These podcasts can not only incorporate open educational resources and allow for more people to learn about them, but it can also serve as a way for people to be more comfortable about talking about the struggles and hardships present within STEM. Next, we can organize interactive webinars that feature student creators and STEM professionals from diverse backgrounds. This will allow for our student creators to make their content be more permissible and available to the public, along with allowing for students to network with STEM professionals within fields that they might be interested in. Next, we can create social media challenges or social media content creation that encourages students to submit short videos, infographics, or even stories that are related to open educational resources. Lastly, we can implement a pure virtual review system that ensures that the content we promote remains relevant and engaging to all. By using these proposed objectives, we can create a more inclusive ecosystem that is cognitive and considerate of different student ideas. Now, I'd like for us to consider what the benefits are of inclusive STEM open educational resources. The impact of these resources can be tremendous. To note a few, we could utilize STEM open educational resources to increase student success, reduce cost of resources, increase representation, develop skills, and utilize sustainable models. By increasing representation, students can increase their success and therefore improve their retention rates. This will allow for students to create and develop critical thinking skills as a result of content creation and their collaboration skills. Next, students would be able to freely access resources, which can reduce the financial barrier often associated with university and school in general. Not only will this increase student involvement in the future, but it will allow for a more sustainable model that utilizes open educational resource development. By actively working towards these goals, open educational resource creation can be more normalized within society. And this approach will not only consider the lack of diversity, but it will build a future where open educational resources are the norm. And to note the experience of some of the benefits students have already experienced through open educational resources, Koku Ifu has noted that through open educational resources, they have become more confident in their academic and research skills. This colleague of mine has shown tremendous growth within their academic journey, all as a result of open educational resource skills and research. So now I'd like for us to take a pause and take a few minutes to reflect on these questions. You could consider writing them down and looking about them later, or perhaps discussing them with a colleague of yours. Some of the questions to consider are, first, currently, what are barriers that restrict students from succeeding in diverse STEM fields? Next, what are ways in which open educational resources can be utilized to create learning communities that are more inclusive? Lastly, in your own experience, what methods have you seen that work well in the promotion of STEM diversity? Going back to the previous slide, some of the responses or answers you might have done could have been such as these. First, such as, for question number 1, current barriers within STEM diversity could be lack of representation, the threat of stereotypes, limited access to resources, and biased evaluation methods. As for the second question, open educational resources can provide culturally relevant content that showcases diverse role models and promotes inclusive information. Lastly, you could have noted, for the third question, specific actions can include mentorship programs that have inclusive curriculum design and culturally responsive teaching practices. By considering these questions and reflecting on these questions, we can create a new mindset that includes future insight and solutions that will help us garner new results towards making open educational resources more culturally normal. So you might be curious, how can I be involved? How can I be more involved within this community of open educational resources. I encourage you to commit to one action. You could advocate for inclusive open educational resources, collaborate on a student-led project, or share this initiative. Even small actions make a big difference. Make sure to ensure that you're also informed of the current open educational resources that Georgia State offers, which I have provided here as QR codes, one in which that details what exactly open educational resources are, along with the other showing what GSU has already implemented as related to open educational resources. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me either at my email or via LinkedIn, as proposed below. Thank you so much again for your time and have a nice one. Bye.